Great, thank you. Thanks so much. I'm really enjoying this. Very, very thorough, wonderful, well presented. Thank you. I have a question. I've asked a lot of yoga colleagues about this, but I want to ask you sort of as a yoga person and a mental health professional. And you'll either know exactly what I'm talking about or this won't make any sense. The similarities between meditation and dissociative disorder.
Sure.
And how do
Yeah.
they seem very similar on
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah.
And what's the difference?
Well, think back to what I said in the lecture about holding a center, an egoic center. If you can dissociate and hold your egoic center, then you're going to go somewhere. You dissociate, but you're still present. If you dissociate and lose your ego center, then you've lost yourself. You've lost your ego self, and obviously, you've lost your higher self. So meditation is, it's like saying, you know, we say suppression is bad or repression is bad. Repression is very much more an unconscious thing. Suppression is more a conscious thing. But sometimes conscious suppression or conscious dissociation, I dissociate from something, I disconnect from it because I don't want to feel it for a while. But eventually I have to reconnect to come back into it. But sometimes I just need a break to get out. So when I practice my meditation in the morning, I dissociate from my physical body as much as I can in order to reconnect with my subtle body.
So there really is a dissociation. I mean that's what the word means. There is a
Yeah,
dissociation happening.
absolutely.
But is it the sankalpa that makes it? It's an intentional dissociation. Is that what makes it different?
Well, sometimes, if it can be intentional, that's good. But more important in one sense is that you stay centered and conscious whatever's happening. So if I dissociate under trauma,
Hmm.
impact, if the trigger for this dissociation is a traumatic event, and I have to shut down all my feelings in order to function,
Yeah.
as long as I stay conscious and I've got a driver behind the wheel, I'm okay. But if under the impact of trauma I dissociate and I lose my egoic center, I'm stuffed. I'm really in trouble. Or if I dissociate because my intention is to experience a different state, then that's a very pleasant dissociation.
Yeah.
I want to go into my psyche and experience my fantasies. And I want to go into my unconscious and experience all of my unconscious mind. And then I dissociate from my physical body and I associate with,
Mhm.
I connect with, I align with that part of myself.
It's
Ultimately,
interesting that we think of the word dissociation as a
yeah,
pathologically, and that's
absolutely.
not how you're using it at all.
Because dissociative meditation experiences, like a mystical experience, is a dissociative experience. And a lot of people who have those experiences become unbalanced. They have that experience and then they lose themselves and they don't want to come back. And my guru always told me to avoid experiences until I was ready. And by ready, he meant I could hold my center under all provocation. Carl Jung had many dissociative experiences during his Red Book period during 1913 to 1916. And because he could hold his center and he was functional. He maintained his practice, he maintained his life, but he was going through quite, enormous psychic experiences that he spent the rest of his life attempting to analyze and, as the foundation of all his writing. But he was dissociating. And so a lot of people said, well, he was having a schizophrenic experience, but that's not true. It wasn't schizophrenic. It was a, he was being called by forces within himself to undergo certain soul experiences that were essential for him, that were radical, that were not normal, that were not average, that are not standard. So for the majority of people, when we see dissociation as a therapist, you know, the majority, I would say 99% of the time, people are not in control or not really doing it, or they don't understand or they're meditating and they want to dissociate and they can't. They can't let go. They're so caught up in the thinking, they can't dissociate. So you can say that witnessing practice, observational mindfulness practice is dissociative. It's a pulling back. I dissociate from the entanglement. What am I dissociating from? From entanglement.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question.
It's a deliberate dissociation.
Deliberate. Yeah, absolutely. But sometimes it's not deliberate. Sometimes I'm sitting there and suddenly I'm pulled off into a daydream.
Yeah.
I'm in a daydream. I'm in a great time.
Yeah.
But I've got to keep my eye on the road sometimes, you know. I've got to make sure if I am pulled into a daydream that I know where I am, because I don't want to have an accident. And accidents happen when you're a bit dissociated. So some people who are very introverted, who live a very inward life, who are very intuitive, they're not very sensorial. They don't come into their senses enough. They're disconnected. They're dissociated. They're disconnected from their senses a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they prefer that inner world, and coming into the outer world doesn't feel very good. Other people are so sensorially directed, they can't let go of that. You know, everything's rational, material. The world, this is the way it is. This, you know, look at it. That's it. They can't let go. They can't dissociate from that.
Would you say that's more of a pitta thing? That
No, no, we're not. No, you can't go there because Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Okay, all right. I'll go with that. Vata.
Mm.
That's Vata.
Yeah.
Vata it's all the psychological states have Vata as their primary dosha, all the subtle, and then the other doshas are functioning around them. So you can have Vata with a Pitta in it, or you can have Vata with Kapha in it. But any kind of associative thing, psychological, generally that's more air and space. There's more air and space element.
On the subject of dissociation, isn't dissociation about fear, avoidance?
No.
No?
Dissociation is a protective instinct. It's a mental defense.
Yeah, I understand it as a defense. Yes.
So, I mean, look.
But aren't we running from something?
Well, we're not. Well, yes, in a sense, yeah.
We don't feel we've got the strength to face that particular thing.
The unconscious is telling you that you don't have the strength to face it. The dissociation generally is a moving away from connection for whatever reason. It can be positive or negative. But dissociation under the impact of trauma is unconscious and usually driven by the unconscious instincts, the mental defenses that are protective, telling you you're just not ready to handle this, or I'm not capable, it's too much, it's too big. You know, you're in the middle of a war, a battlefield. I don't have time for feelings, dissociate.